All right, so welcome to the next phase in our analysis, which is the 20% grayscale experiment. So we're refining from 50% large chunks of black and white to 20%, and we say 20% because what we're going to do is we're going to analyze this based on 5 tones. So 20% is 1/5. So we're going to think about a grayscale that has 5 tones. Those tones would be white, light gray, middle gray, dark gray, and black. And so the first thing I want you to do is to make a 5-tone grayscale. So just above the 20% exercise, draw 5 squares, or you can do that just using some of the extending the grid lines to make it quicker. And I hope you can see that they're numbered 1 through 5, and they're labeled W for white, L for light, G for gray, D for dark, B for black. Okay? And then I want you to, before you analyze the image, just sorry for the interruption. What a mess. It turns out this little family of hummingbirds had built a nest inside my electrical circuit box, and one of the little eggs, tiny little eggs, fell out and broke open on one of the breakers and shorted it out. So I had to clean that up, and that was really a mess. And the hummingbirds were, sort of trying to attack me while I was trying to clean it up. Anyway, it was a hassle. But we're back now. Everything's taken care of. Called the SPCA. Gonna have them get adopted and find good homes. So, back to where we were. So what I was saying was, before we were so rudely interrupted, was that I want you to make this grayscale. I want you to make a 5-tone grayscale because I want you to have that as reference, because I want you to use those tones when you fill this out, okay? The isolation window here, I guess we call it, is going to be very useful. More useful even in this project than in that project, because this is going to be more important for you to isolate the individual squares so you can make an analysis and a decision about where you're going to put things and what value you're going to do them. So one thing, while we were in this little technical break, I did some of these squares, and you can see that I've assigned some of these the middle tone, and then this is the light tone. So these are both tone 3, and then this is tone 2. This is back to tone 3 again. Then this is a 4, dark gray, and then this one is black. You're definitely going to need to use your eraser. This is a different kind of stick eraser, just a stick eraser, and your charcoal, because you're going to have to work on these tones. It's not going to be as simple as just black and white. So, like I said, I've done a few, and you can see here the different tones I've used in a couple of different places. But as we did with the other one, I'm going to go ahead and work the whole thing out, finish it up, and then we'll look at the end results. Okay? All right. See you in a minute. Okay, so the 20% drawing is finished. There's a couple of things that I want to point out. Notice that you can clearly tell which of the 5 tones is being used. Each of the 5 tones is clearly different and consistent. So, there are very few white. There's only a couple of totally white squares that I left alone. Then we have the tone number 2, the light gray, and I tried to keep that consistent, the same gray tone throughout. A lot of medium gray. Tried to make sure that the medium gray, that 3rd tone, is consistent everywhere you find it, and that it's different from the dark tone, and the dark tone is different from the black. So make sure that each square is always one of those five that you, one of those five different identifiable tones. So that's going to be important. When I look at this, I want to be able to tell that you're clearly using consistently 5 different tones. The black tone, remember when you did your original grayscale, you probably need to rub it in a little bit. And rubbing the black in will make it more differentiated from the dark gray. So dark gray and the black, to make them different, one thing is to rub that black in. When you're trying to make your analysis, you're just discerning which tones are which. It's very good to squint your eyes. Squint your eyes, because what happens when you squint your eyes, you blur the view. So you have your isolation window, and if you squint at it, it may help. It may help because squinting reduces the detail that you can see, and things sort of merge into a little bit more of a general mass. So that may be helpful. So squinting can help to determine the value. That's actually a good tool to use all the time. If you're trying to determine the value range of a scene, if you squint at it, it'll remove the detail and show you more of a tonal arrangement. Again, work the obvious things first. I mean, it's hard, some of the squares will be difficult to discern. If they're difficult, skip them and come back to them. And do the ones that are obvious. So go to the ones that are very definitely black, go do those, and that'll help. And then try to note whether there's some, and when you're done, is there some organization? And like in this drawing, basically you have a diagonal here where most of the dark is down here. About half of the picture is dark from there down. Again, with some lights popping out in the dark. And then the upper right-hand diagonal area is generally lighter than this, and there are some dark areas within that. That's kind of what we talked about with how to organize things tonally, that a good tonal organization is to have a fairly even amount of dark areas and light areas, to have a concentration of the dark areas sort of in one general portion, and a concentration of the light areas in another portion, but then always to introduce a little bit of light into where the dark portion is, and introducing a little bit of dark into where the light portion is. And so we see that organization here in this 20% version of the drawing. So that takes care of it. So your drawing for this project should look something like this. 5 definite different tones, each square a clearly different one of those 5 tones. Okay? All right. Talk to you later.